My name is Aleksandra, and I work as a research audiologist at Eriksholm Research Center. In our clinic, we sometimes get emails or phone calls from hearing aid users or their relatives who are in doubt whether their hearing aids are working properly. From the distance, it is hard for me to tell whether their insecurity is caused just by lack of experience using the devices or whether there are actual issues that need to be fixed. In these situations, it would actually be quite helpful if the hearing aid itself could tell us if the sound it produces is heard by the listener as expected. This would allow us to reassure the users that everything is going as it should, or to identify potential problems and recommend booking an appointment with an audiologist.
Hi, I'm Florine. I'm a scientist here at Eriksholm Research Center. And as we just heard from Aleksandra, it might be really good to know whether the sound a hearing aid produces is heard as intended. So we at Eriksholm have thought a lot about how a device itself could check whether everything works as it should. And one way to do this is to measure whether the sound it produces actually reaches the brain. But the technology for that is not very well established yet. So here we've run a couple of studies investigating whether the sound a hearing aid produces reaches the brain. The way this works is that when a person listens to speech, we record the speech that they're hearing and also their brainwaves while listening. The brainwaves that we focus on here are the ones coming from the brainstem, which is a really early part of the brain. And then we analyze the connection between the heard speech and the recorded brainwaves and compute a waveform on how similar they are. If everything is working well, then this brain response might look a little like this, with this nice peak. That means that the sound is reaching the brain. But if something is not working as it should, for example, if the sound is a little bit too low, then the brain response can look more like that, noisy, and without this big peak. Here is a lab setup that we're using in these studies, where a participant is listening to speech coming from the loudspeaker in front of him. The speech is just an audiobook, so natural continuous speech. And while listening, we measure his brainwaves with the electrodes in the cap that he's wearing. When we analyze the brainwaves we recorded, we can then compute this waveform in how similar they are to the speech that was heard. And here in the dark gray line, you see how it looks when no sound was heard. So it's pretty much a flat line. But when speech gets through to the brain, we can see this peak, this response peak in dark green here. And this one was obtained when the sound was delivered directly to the ear via insert earphones. But we can also, here in orange, see that we can measure the same response when speech was delivered via loudspeakers, as if it would have to be if we were testing hearing aids. These results were obtained with just natural, continuous speech, so something that we hear in our daily lives. And if we continue to get good results like these, then maybe one day in the future a hearing aid could determine itself whether it's working as it should, and this could provide valuable input for audiologists to better understand the issues the hearing aid users are reporting with.